Now I'm going to keep this review as brief as I possibly can, so I'm going in with one shot, no crazy edits or pictures with this. I'm just going to give you my straight up thoughts with this movie. But first of all, in my humble opinion, this story, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka and you know, all the adaptations, this does not need a prequel, in my humble opinion. This is a story that's best. Like, Willy Wonka as a person is mysterious. He's eccentric. Whether you like the original one or the Tim Burton Johnny Depp one, that's up to you. Me personally, I grew up with the Tim Burton one, so I like that one a little bit more. The original, although I also grew up with it, I didn't have like so much of an attachment to, but I still really did enjoy it. I know a lot of people have problems with the Tim Burton one, but I think it's pretty good. And this was a movie I had no expectations going into. I seriously thought this movie wasn't going to be great or anything that special because, truth be told, Willy Wonka does not need a story. He doesn't need a prequel. And you can do a prequel unless you do something special with it. And I have some good news. Somewhat. I'll get into the negatives really quickly, but it's not a whole lot, surprisingly. But I have some good news. This is doing something special with the character and also the story, and creates this prequel of Willy Wonka that, in my humble opinion, just left me with a big stupid smile on my face. The end got me right in the feels, made me tear up. I'll get more detailed later on, but I'm just gonna give my overall thoughts real quick. But you get the point what I'm trying to make. The movie was surprisingly really good, considering that I went in with no little to no expectations. I went in expecting, like, yeah, I've read the reviews, thinking, this was another Oscar worthy, like, music, like, take the Matilda musical that recently released on Netflix. you know I'll give my thoughts on that eventually, not anytime soon. But it's kind of like that, but much better. And, and it's not based on like a book or anything. This is literally just a movie made up out of the blue. But if you know anything about, the Willy Wonka story, Ronald Dahl, you see his stuff, his work is put in here. Now, the guy who directed this, now thank God he helmed this, but he did the first two Paddington movies, and if those are anything to go by, those two movies are also just as sweet. Not as good, but Wonka is up there. It is still a really surprisingly sweet, heartwarming movie. I mean, it's really good. I'm really shocked how much I enjoyed this. Again, I'm going to get quickly into spoilers here. I don't want to go too in depth with this. I don't want to make a 15-minute review on this, even though it'd be easy for me to, but I'm going to keep this brief. The songs, they are really sweet. They are original songs that a lot of the characters sing. This is a musical, so if you're not big into musicals, then, avoid this movie. But I'm not a massive fan of musicals, but it depends on the musical. You know? Actually, you know what? Screw that. I do like musicals. I do like musicals. I totally just contradicted myself, but, you know, the songs in this, each and every one, it didn't feel out of place. There wasn't a song here that didn't feel like, oh, why is this a song? I mean, just every song felt like it had a purpose, and it's still, like, the movie is a bit goofy. It's a bit playful, but it still keeps a consistent tone at least. I'll get more onto the ending, it's where most of my problems reside, but I'll get more into that in just a little bit. But songs knocked it out of the park. Timothy Chalamet, he does a great job as Wonka. He's right up there with Gene Wilder in the original, Johnny Depp. And now add him to the mix. He is really good in this. I mean, you get the Gene Wilder stuff. Now, I know the director said that he wanted this to be like ambiguous whether this takes place during the, Gene Wilder movie or this is just a standalone thing. I think personally it feels like it belongs to Gene Wilder, but that's up to you. I think either way he did a great job. Timothée Chalamet knocked it out of the park. Hugh Grant, as brief as screen time as he does, he comes up at the beginning of the third act, I would say. Well, yeah, close to the end of the second act, and then he pops up occasionally near the end. He does a great job. As brief as his appearance is, yeah, the CGI is a bit, wonky, but you know what? Wonky. See what you did? I see what I did there. But it's still really sweet. There's a new character in here. Now, there's plenty of other characters in here. Obviously, Slugworth is, and I'll get more onto the villains in just a little bit. But one new character in particular, she helps Wonka throughout most of the movie. Her name was, I already forgot the name. I wanted to make this review as quickly as possible just to get my thoughts out of the way, so I forgot her name. But she's played really adorably by this actress, and they just do a great job just building a relationship between Wonka and her. And it's really sweet. It's really sweet. And near the end, there is a final act twist. It's not really a twist. And if you really are like a movie connoisseur like me, you can kind of see where this is going. It's been done to death in a lot of other movies, but you know what? It still works here. The ending does tug at the heartstrings because throughout the movie, well, not even throughout the movie, at one point in the beginning, Wonka mentions that his mother passed before he ever got to learn the secret to making chocolate. And in the end, he gets that secret, and it's really sweet, and it did get me right in the feels. This entire movie is it's just a joy to watch. Like, I had a big dumb grin on my face the entire time. This movie was just so goofy and fun and just so lighthearted. It's something that I honestly needed at the end of this year because there weren't a whole lot of great movies. This was one of the good movies that came out this year. And I'm really glad that we ended the year with this, Godzilla Minus One, and a couple of others. So, now, Slugworth. Obviously, there's a candy cartel, apparently. And I do think this is where the movie gets into, like, goofy territory, but it's still fun. The actor, I'm not gonna butcher his name. I don't feel like I'd be doing the actors justice, but, if you watch Mr. Bean, he plays, like, essentially a cartel, like a candy cartel priest leader. And he briefly shows up in this movie, once in the beginning and once near the final act. And as little screen time as he has, he knocks it out of the park. He gets some laughs. And yeah, that's the big villain. Apparently, Slugworth and two other candy guys, they just run a big giant candy operation. Sure, why not? And yeah, the entire movie is just really sweet. Like I said, in the final act is where things get tripped up for me. I just feel like it gets a little too, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just very weird thinking, like, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then you get thrown into, like, this heist type of scenario. Like, you just get this absolute bonkers finale, but it's still fun to watch. Even culminating to, like, Willy Wonka potentially drowning in chocolate. That's pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. Hugh Grant is Loompa Loompa, I mentioned. He's pretty good. The ending is also just like, it left me with a big smile on my face and, literally fist pumping in the air almost just how good it was. Again, this movie is just really sweet. I've already been going on about this for 10 minutes, but that's as long as I could honestly give this because you just have to go see this movie for yourself. Like, if you are a fan of the book, go see it. If you're a big fan of the characters, even if you haven't read the book and you've watched the movies, go see it. If you've heard of the character but never read the book or watched the movies, I highly recommend at least checking one of the two out. At the very least, read the book because I feel like reading the book and then going into one of the adaptations, including this one, it'll do you just justice. This movie was a knockout for me because I went in, like I said, with no expectations, lukewarm expectations, expecting not something special and something that's obviously trying to go for that Oscar. Think of Cats from 2019. Thankfully doesn't look as horrifically bad, but still you get the point. Just like that big stage musical going for it. It's the end of the year, the Oscars are gonna get nominated in a couple of months, that sort of film. But no, this movie is really special. And for Willy Wonka fans, fans of the book, fans of the films, it's really, really special treat. I really highly recommend this. So that's about it. Um, I know I was gonna get the Tom and Jerry review out, but school's almost about to start back up. I've been feeling a tad bit depressed lately, so I haven't been able to figure out a time to make that review as planned. But I will try to get it done. I'll get to it when I get to it. But with this movie in particular, Wonka was just the right movie that I needed to see. Just the right movie. And just really uplifted my spirits because, like I said, for the past week, it has been rough for me. And in this particular day, I've just been really, really depressed. I mean, you could take a wild guess why, but that's up for you. But anyway, fantastic movie, huge recommend. That's about it. See ya.